Well, good morning, everyone. So glad to have you all with us again this morning. Welcome to today's session, Building Your Strategy. So this is kind of a two-part bonus series that will be offered this morning and tomorrow. And we have just been enjoying an amazing run training together with you over the past week or so. And this session is really focused in on strategy from a director perspective, but of course, we welcome all trainers because this is an important part of the work that you do as well. So super excited that you're here. For those who may be new this morning, just want to do some quick introductions. So starting off with our wonderful speaker today, Claire Laughlin. If you don't know Claire yet, you'll see that she is just such a dynamic and engaging trainer and a consultant who just really uses experiential, innovative methods to help teams and organizations achieve results. With every client and in fact with all of our partners, she really works to build individual leadership potential, teach positive communication habits, and enhance trust among and between team members. With over 20 years of diverse experience, she also has a background in management. And one of the things I love about her too is a relentless dedication to transformation and a passion for improving relationships in all of her work. So we're really fortunate to have Claire leading us today. And also on the call with us this morning, Ianniello. Ryan is someone that I've worked also with for many years. And she has been teaching and training for 15 to 20 years. With a master's degree in communication, 2 teaching credentials, a certificate in human resource management. She has a master trainer certificate from NUMMI, which is a Toyota affiliate, over 20 years of business experience, and has, like Claire, she has sat in the director seat and really knows both sides of this. Also has a really strong HR background. And in addition to being a corporate trainer, she's a college professor. And one thing I can say about Ray is that she can create great content like nobody's business. Ray, over to you.
And it's my pleasure to introduce Jonathan Bissell. Jonathan is the Executive Director of CCCE Corporate Training Solutions with the San Mateo College Community College District. He has expertise in designing and delivering training programs for the United States and international private and public sector organizations. He's a certified contract trainer, executive coach, and a milestone coach with the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center's Milestone Makers Startup Founder Acceleration Program. He received the 2020 Star Performer Award for Leadership by the California Community College's Contract Education Technical Assistance Provider, CE-TAP. And he is a fabulous boss. I'm going to add that.
Fantastic. All right.
Back to you, Claire.
All right. We're going to keep rolling here. And I just feel so honored to be doing this training with Rayanne and Jonathan. And even though, you know, we take turns in the front and center stage here, we're all working together consistently to create our content here for you. So today I'm so excited about our topic. We are going to work on building your strategy. And this is just, it's so powerful ultimately, because as you all know, we've had a lot of bends in the road. I love this fortune cookie wisdom that a bend in the road is never fatal unless you fail to turn. So we want to make sure that we are making adjustments in the way we deliver our training so that our businesses thrive. And I've been deeply committed to this for about 5 years now. I've been on this very intensive path to learn how to integrate online learning into the contract education types of offerings. So that's what we're going to work on today. I mean, ultimately, the world has changed. There's been a huge bend in the road, but it actually can work to our advantage. We are creating this new normal now, and our clients are finally expecting this. I don't know if you've also experienced this, but I had a hard time getting my clients to believe in the power of online learning. And it's been kind of a struggle that every time that I would try to suggest, hey, let's move forward with this. And I'll tell you more of the detail later, but when I try to suggest this, I get this resistance around, it's just, and just FYI, I also had some belief that learning online maybe wasn't quite as powerful as learning in person. And I want to introduce different ways of thinking about that today, because I believe that hybrid learning, online learning can be every bit as powerful, if not more powerful in many cases. So we're creating this new normal, and it includes now this high degree of interaction online, and it creates amazing opportunities. There's amazing opportunities available to all of us in the world of creating online products and services. And it's time for us to turn our business, but I want to suggest that we do it strategically. So again, and I know we have a lot of similarities here, but I've spent a lot of time shotgunning things like, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. And it can be very exhausting to work that way. So I'm really trying in my own consulting practice and in life in general, right, to focus and to do things more strategically. So that's what we're here to talk about today. Of course, I want to get you guys talking to each other as quickly as possible. We're going to go into a quick breakout room so that you can talk about this piece particularly, okay? So we're going to go 3 to 4 people, about 5 minutes. And I'd like you, if you don't know each other already, of course, introduce name, college, and role. And then I want you to talk about this question. How are you hoping to grow your online presence? What does that mean to you? Where are you in this journey? Why is this a benefit to you, and what will you gain? Okay, so I want you to come back prepared to share a few highlights. And okay, so as everybody comes back, why don't you come on over to the chat so that everybody has a chance to participate. Tell me a little bit more about the why and the how. How are you planning to grow your online business, and why? What is your compelling why? Love to hear from you. And also love to hear from a volunteer if someone is willing to share out loud. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like to jump in. Love to hear from you.
I'll jump. Robin Meltzer, College of the Desert, the PACE program, Partnership in Community Education. My why is that it's just kind of what you were saying, Claire, the power of the online learning. I think that's the new normal. I don't see us getting back in the classroom anytime soon,
Right.
and in person. And my thing is, how do we create the kind of community and personal interactions that the classroom is? So that's my why of doing all this, because I want to make sure that people have that opportunity and that companies see that opportunity.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, thanks, Robin. I sure appreciate that. Anyone else? I've got time for one more share.
Okay, I'll go.
Thanks, Mina.
Meena Dara, I work with the College of the Kenyans. Why do I like it? I really enjoy it. That's the truth. And I've been 25, 30 years in the corporate world, and I always enjoyed this part. So I decided to go solo more than 10 years ago. I think also there's a great sense of satisfaction, as I shared earlier, when you teach someone and they learn, because it's a two-way process. You learn and they learn, and it's very fulfilling for me.
Sure, sure. That's great. I love it. Well, thank you, Mina. And so I just want to encourage all of you to really be focused on, you know, your own personal why for this piece, because just doing business the way that we've done business in the past, and many of us have some online have had some online presence in addition to our live training. But this is a different way of thinking. If you really want to grow your business around online opportunities, it's very there's a lot of opportunity there. It's kind of a different way of doing things for sure. So that's what we're going to talk about today. That's strategy, thinking strategically about it. Okay. Because honestly, I think about it this way. When we try to be all things to all people, it's like the Jenga tower, you know, that things could crumble. I mean, at least for me, that's how it has felt over the years, that when I run around and I try to do, you know, this kind of work and that kind of work. And not only is my personality sort of like that, it's just, I don't like to close down my options. So I like to do a lot of different things, but we don't become the known experts when we try to do so many different kinds of things. So part of this is around finding your inner expertise, finding that sweet spot, that zone of genius that you want to work in, and working that. Now, you know, some of you are directors, many of you are instructors, some of you play both roles. I have found, as in playing both the role of the director and the instructor, that I really like to partner with my program, right? When I'm in the instructor role, I want to partner with my director. When I'm in the director role, I want to bring my instructors into the fold and work together on what our zone of genius is going to be and how we're going to work strategically. So the most important takeaway, Rayanne, why don't you go over this for us, will you? Oops.
Most important takeaway. And the reason I'm muting is because it's garbage day over here and I'm like, oh my goodness, Zoom. Most important takeaway, you will be inspired and better prepared to grow your business using virtual content.
Nice, thanks, Ray. We always like to keep this most important takeaway front and center. And the idea is that it's not just about delivering what you've delivered in the past, but doing it in front of a camera, in front of a computer. It's about thinking about doing this strategically and growing your business this way. And there's a lot of opportunity we'll talk about. Go over the guidelines for us.
All right, so just a quick guidelines. Keep the cameras on if you can. You might have to shut them down if you're doing something you don't want us to see. Minimize distractions, children, pets, partners, and please use the chat room, breakout rooms as much as you can. Participate, because without you and your wonderful input, we're learning from each other. We really need you to participate.
Sounds good. Thank you. That chat function is pretty cool, actually, folks. If you want to go ahead, you know, as we go through our workshop today and just put your impressions in the chat, etc. Jonathan and Rayanne will constantly be looking at the chat as we go through, and you can put questions there and we will come back to those questions as we go. So our objectives, Jonathan, would you go over these for us? Oh, you might have to unmute, huh? Yeah.
So really first, just starting out with what is the big picture for online learning options and the potential for recurring revenue. Then we'll move into reviewing a number of tried and true examples for how to add online components to existing offerings. And then one of my personal favorites is just really trying to understand some ways to stack your content to help you build your brand and serve your customers. And then we'll move into making a plan for next steps.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so the opportunity, let's start with that big picture. I don't know if I don't think I need to tell you this, but online learning is growing very fast. Just in 2019, the market was already $187 billion, but the estimated value of global online education by 2025 is $319 billion. That's a huge market to play in. That means that the compound annual growth rate for online education is close to 10%, which is a very huge growth rate. So imagine, what if your business could grow by 10% year over year? I mean, if that, that would be great. For me, it would be great. So I think about it that way, like maybe I could get a slice of that online learning growth. I want to show you an example. Now, this is a hypothetical example, but I want to show you a way of thinking about the potential for recurring revenue, because ultimately in the world of online learning, what you create can be recorded and resold, for example. So just that in itself gives us this bigger potential for recurring revenue. So in the past, my brain was oriented around the one client sale. And I love serving my clients, and that has not changed. But I would go into each client and I would be like, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And the one client sale kind of meant this to me: hours of client relationship building, doing a needs assessment, writing proposals and contract negotiations, all good stuff. But I would do all of that, and I might go like, okay, I got a $30,000 sale. That is fantastic. And that's not a bad sale. That's a really good sale. In fact, that's a yay sale. Very good. But if you think about it a little bit differently, this potential for recurring revenue lens, look through this lens. Imagine that you could have a product that one of the things that you delivered for that client could become a product, and you could sell that product for like 149 bucks, let's just say. And you sold 50 of those, and you did that 10 months out of the year. In 1 year, you would create $74,500, okay? So that's just the first line. But then if you think, well, you know what? If I add some value to that product, I might be able to sell it for 179 instead of 149. And if I did some really good strategic outreach and I added value and I built up, and I took what I'm doing with this one client and I do it with 5 or 6 clients, and instead of 50 sales in a month, I could actually sell it to 100 people in a month. And I don't know why I would do that 10 months when I could do it 12 months. Then in 1 year, I could make $214,800 from that one product. Okay. So there's a lot of work in this. This is not magic. It's not just like, oh, I just build it and they come. I have not had that experience. My experience is that this is a different way of working. It takes effort and intention and focus, but that quite honestly, the revenue potential is quite big. And if you look at just the difference between these two product prices, for most of us working with corporate clients, et cetera, the difference between $149 product price and $179 is not much, right? Especially if you're adding a lot of extra value. So that is what we're going to talk about today. Remember that anything that you record can be used again and again. Of course, it needs to be quality, and there's editing involved and other things like that. Absolutely. But if you can think in terms of recording your genius, then you can think in terms of using it again and again. And this right now, as we're all getting into this online world and we're doing our meetings online and other things, you can use this opportunity to build a bunch of content for now and the future. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how that's been done. When I think about strategy, I think about focus. And I love this T. Harv Eker quote. He says, where your attention goes, energy flows and results show. So what we want to do is shift our attention. So for example, this was a big shift for me many, many years ago, but I used to think about maximizing gross revenue. I was thinking, well, that's what I want to do. I want to maximize gross revenue because that's what I was evaluated on as a director of my program. I wanted to make sure I was making my sales and growing my revenue, right, year over year. But what happened for me is that, of course, that's true. We have to make our revenue numbers. But the world started to shift when I realized, wait a minute, what if I maximize revenue per customer? What if I go into each customer site and I really focus my attention and energy on not just the revenue of this sale, but the revenue over the lifetime of the customer, or the revenue over this customer year, okay? What I was doing with my day started to shift. Instead of just going out and trying to sell to like 10 different people, I was spending more time with each of those 10 people and looking at how to maximize what I could do for those people. And when I say revenue per customer, honestly, for me, I have to stay focused on impact. I want to stay focused on the transformation I'm making. But I do that by saying, I'm going to work deeper with this customer. I'm going to work more broadly with this customer. And then what's going to happen is that the revenue per customer is going to follow. In addition, if I think about maximizing my revenue per product, it gives me a different focus. Okay, so what I'd love to do is just ask for a volunteer, if I may.
And Claire, while you're doing that, if you could just turn your captioning back on.
I just saw that, sorry. Did I get it? I got it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I want you to think about just a volunteer. If any of you, if this resonates with anyone, I'd love to have one of you chime in on this. What might you do differently if you focused more on revenue per product or revenue per customer? Either one. Anybody have a thought about that to share? How would that change your activities? A little bit. Now, I'm not talking about, usually it's not a radical shift, but there's some shift that happens as we start thinking about maximizing that revenue per product or per customer. Belle.
Hi, good morning. So I'm actually, because I'm teaching a trade like automotive technology, I'm missing the hands-on with my students because of COVID-19.
Sure.
What's taking place is my college has now given us feeder courses to introduce our automotive program, to increase enrollment and recruitment. So I'm actually now teaching 3 different safety courses that can be taught online without any lab time. One of them is Introduction to Automotive. The other is Fundamentals of Automotive Electrical.
Yeah.
And then the third is Brakes.
Okay.
Now, I am teaching the Brakes class the last 8 weeks of the semester. Our semester is a total of 16 weeks.
Right.
I need to somehow sell my Brakes class from my warm market in the intro and the fundamentals courses.
Right.
So when you say revenue per customer and revenue per product, what you're technically meaning is not upselling, but pretty much we want them to get the biggest bang for their buck. And if they already know the instructor, half the battle is already won.
Yes, I mean, that's a great example of a shift. So what you're doing to maximize that revenue per customer, because you've got customers in front of you right now already enrolled. So you're saying like, I'm going to shift my focus a little bit to really developing that relationship with those folks. And I assume that means really understanding their needs and their story as much as yours, right? And in doing so, you get those fans, right? You get people who are literally coming to you because they know, like, and trust you. They know your story. They feel seen, heard, and understood, and they're willing to stick with you through the next part of this journey.
And
so
I just saw my roster. I didn't realize there were 4 women that enrolled in my course. And I don't know if it's because they saw Isabel Muschamp on the instructor. I don't know, but these people, I don't think we're going to, we already have 1 full-time automotive instructor that's female. They hired a second. So these students, I'm very grateful that they even are willing to take my class, and we sold out. So Brakes class, thank you guys for even touching this subject and helping me build my business.
Claire, would you mind if I give a quick example?
Oh, please.
So I'm actually in the midst of this right now, where we're doing a lot of different training with different clients that are being recorded, where there's asynchronous and synchronous content. And so one of our trainers just created a condensed version of the recorded section of the synchronous and mixed that with the asynchronous to come up with a 30-minute, really powerful presentation. It's a whole new product from something that was already delivered. And so that's a real example of something you can use with multiple audiences, and you can tweak it based on the particular needs of different audiences.
Nice. Great example. Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, I think the thing is that there's a bit of a shift. It doesn't have to, again, maybe it's not dramatic, but if you're thinking strategically, you're also thinking about how to work differently per product and per customer. And so let's keep going with that. I appreciate that very much. So honestly, my goal is to try to do more with less. Traditionally in contract education, we are working on a thin line. Like, I don't know any contract ed departments that feel flush with cash or fully funded or whatever, right? Because we're normally pulled in a lot of different directions. And we're trying to do more with less. So it's really important. So I want you to think that if you can generate more revenue per product, for example, then you can scale. Okay, you can scale faster because you've got products, and your products are not dependent on you being in front of the classroom or having an individual instructor be in front of the classroom. So if you create recorded products, or products where it's kind of the flipped classroom model, where sometimes people can do some of their learning online and then they'll come together for some coaching or live stuff, then you can get a lot more people trained with the same person hours, okay? So generating more revenue per product can create scalability, and generating more revenue per customer can create profitability, because we're spending less time selling and more time delivering and generating that ongoing revenue stream, okay? So let's think about what our audience wants. They want someone they can trust. Just like Belle was saying, this is really important. Getting to know your customer, obviously, getting to know the people there. They want someone they can trust. You need to be transparent and connected, of course. They want convenience and speed, okay? They want it to work for them. That's really important. They still want training that gets results. And this is one of the issues that can arise with online learning. If you just record something and you say, and I've done this, let me tell you, this this has been a hard-won lesson, right? But if you say, hey, I've got 25 videos all recorded here, just opt in here and just start watching the videos. You'll get people who will watch the first 5 videos with great excitement, and then they will stop because the completion rate of online learning is incredibly low. And if people don't complete the training that you put forth, they're not going to get results. And if they don't get results, they're not going to come back, because they'll have an idea in their mind that's like, oh, I tried that and it didn't work for me. Not like I didn't do the work, but it didn't work for me, right? So it's important to remember that the way we design this stuff has to be focused on getting those results for folks. And of course, people right now want flexible solutions for a flexible workforce. Their people are working from home. Their people are working odd hours sometimes. So we've got to, so in a sense, this last one is a real boost for us, because the online learning and the flexible format of recorded trainings give those flexible solutions. We just have to couple it with things to make sure that people are getting results, okay? So that's what our audience really wants. I want to just tell you a couple of steps along the way. I'm gonna make this incredibly brief, but the reason I wanted to get into this so much is that at one point I was realizing I was doing a lot of train the trainer courses. That's one of my areas of specialty. I love training trainers. And I was in the midst of this really huge project of training like all the trainers in this global workplace. And I was listening to a podcast, and all of a sudden I just had this aha moment. I was like, what could I do with podcasts? That's what I was thinking at the time. Now, FYI, to date, I've done very little with podcasts, but that was the moment that I thought, wait, what can I do with this digital world? That was about 5.5 years ago. So what I did is I started consuming a lot of online courses. I was like, okay, I got to get into this world. I need to purchase online courses. I had done some already, but what I started to do was purchase premium online courses. Like, these are courses that are like thousands of dollars online. And I'm like, I'm going to go for it. This is a class, this is a topic I need to learn. I'm going to go for it and see how it works for me. So I jumped in, I consumed a lot of online courses. I still am. I'm always got like 4 or 5 online courses that I'm going through. And then what I did is I shot my first online course. I hired a videographer and I just did it. And that's called Be an Amazing Trainer. It's still one of my favorite products. But I shot that first online course, and then I combined it with live coaching. So now let me just say that this was a curriculum that I had tested and tested and tested. I didn't just shoot it in front of a camera before I'd ever tested it. It was a curriculum I had tested extensively. But then I went through the online course, I got this pilot group, and I walked people through it. So they would watch videos, and we would meet, and we would work together, and I was coaching them. And that was a very powerful model. I loved it so much that then I started to talk to my clients about doing video training for them. So a couple of my clients jumped on board, and I got paid to translate a course to video. This was a course that we were doing live, and we were trying to train the entire workforce, and they paid me to put it on video. So the lucky thing was I had a sample because I showed them Be an Amazing Trainer. I said, go in and take a look at this and see if you like what you see. And they said, okay, let's do it. I'll pay you. You go ahead and build it and turn it on to video, and that's how we'll go forth. So then I got paid to develop the wraparound services that support the uptake with online learning. So for example, when I go into a workplace and every person is taking, I have one course about how to coach your employees and how to be coached. So now I have to train them about how to use the online learning format. So now I have a wraparound service, which is how do you work with this online content and put it into play. And then I came away, luckily, with an arsenal of tools and products that I can use again and again. And I tell you this because, again, everything I was doing along the way, luckily, I was able to partner with my clients. I didn't have to do it all for free because I had clients who were invested in me and who were willing to pay me to do this. And so the lucky thing is, as I was negotiating with them, for example, one of my clients, I said, look, I'm going to charge you, of course, for creating this video course for you, but I'm going to charge you half of what it would normally cost, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use that video with other clients as well. Does that work for you? And they said, sure, that's fine. Charge us half. I love that, right? So I charged them half of what it would normally cost. I invested, they invested. We both had skin in the game. And I came out with a video course that now I'm actually, just this afternoon, I'm actually launching it to another client. So there's ways that we can do this in partnership with our clients that really work, okay? So again, let me talk about some of the opportunities that I'm sure you have right now. For example, e-workbooks and guides. You can use an e-workbook and a guide as a lead generator. And Rayanne's going to talk more about lead generation tomorrow in a different, we're going to talk a little bit about that in terms of marketing. But I have gone back to my classes and I've gone like, look, I have all these workbooks that I've developed. Which ones of these can I modify and create standalone workbooks and guides? Okay. Of course, you've got live online classes, virtual instructor-led training, VILT, virtual instructor-led training that you can record. And like Jonathan is doing right now, you can modify, edit those a little bit, and you can turn them around and sell them. You can do slide presentation type classes so that you don't even have to be on video. If that scares you, you don't want to be on video, you can do slide presentation classes. That's actually a really good place to start because you just get used to doing it. Of course, you can do on-camera video-based classes that are delivered asynchronously. So people go in, they watch the videos, and then you can couple it with coaching or something like that. That virtual coaching and mentoring, you can do that one-to-one, of course, or you can do group coaching like mastermind classes. So here's a couple of examples. These are, I just put up on the screen here, 2 different workbooks, e-workbooks. This Living Your Values Guide is something that I give away for free. And it's something that I promote a couple of times a year. And I tell my clients, hey, if your team doesn't have values or your organization of values need to be refreshed and looked at, go download my guide. And then it starts a conversation that we have, okay? The other one here, creating clear expectations and goals, is something that I do virtual training on, but I supplement it with this fully developed on your own workbook so that leaders can not only come to my class, but that they can turn around and use this guide to create clear expectations and goals with their teams. So that's a way that I enhance the value of my time. We meet online for a couple of hours, and then they get the workbook, and then I follow up with them to see if they need coaching. Okay, so this is a way that we can utilize these methodologies to enhance our stuff. Down below, I just put up a couple of screenshots. Just of one was a virtual instructor-led training I did, and the next was, well, actually they both are virtual instructor-led trainings. And then finally, the last set of screenshots I just put up there it's just clips from my video series. So I have got this video series called Building a High Trust Workplace, and I literally have created a little spot in my home, and I purchased lights, and I figured out how to do video. And sometimes I just shoot it with my phone, and other times I actually have a videographer come and help me. But these are all things that are opportunities that aren't that hard, okay? They're just, they're available, especially the guides and the ebooks and the virtual online training. Those things are really pretty easy for most people to start doing. Of course, it takes practice, but you can start there, okay? So that's just some opportunities. I'm going to talk a little bit about value stacks, but let me just take a pause and see what's going on over here in the chat. Jonathan, do we have anything here that needs to be addressed? Oh, are you muted? Yes.
Just an interesting kind of question, comment from Milton about gamification. So really just, you know, is it something that trainers use? How do they use it? And then Belle was just asking about that as a new concept. So I think it's definitely effective. People use it to different effects. One of the things I was just, sorry, there's a bit of feedback.
I'm going to mute everyone and then unmute you, Jonathan. Okay. Oh, I think it's good. Okay.
All right. So I think the key point I was trying to make is every bell and whistle can either be a value add or a rabbit hole, depending on whether it supports your MIT. So that is just a key concept. So you can even have like a little image you keep on your desk of a bell on one side or a whistle, and then on the other side,
a rabbit.
Just a phrase or a rabbit hole. And just think about like, how does this relate to my MIT?
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. So the MIT, the most important takeaway that Jonathan is referring to is something that we cover in our transformational design course. And we talked about one here for our class, our most important takeaway. So it's the one concept that you want people to really walk away with after each and every training. Okay. You want to have that one most important takeaway. And we use that as our guide to make sure that our classes are very targeted, very streamlined. And I'll just say this, because in our world of information overload and chaos, you've got to cut through the mental clutter if you want to really make a big impact. So that's why we use that MIT concept.
I just want to answer the question about who do we sell to. Of course, we have our clients in contract education, but we also have to look at our own staff, for our professional development opportunities and grants. Quick example, Jonathan has just put together Mastermind remote classes dealing with remote issues, Zoom fatigue and how to manage people remotely, et cetera, et cetera. So we're doing 1 hour webinars for our staff, for the professional development team. We'll use those twice because they'll be recorded. But then we also have a product to sell to potential clients, and everyone's struggling with this. And we might even, as Claire's talking a little bit, and I'll talk a little bit about marketing, give a snippet away as almost like an ad and say, this is what we're doing. We're going to make your remote staff just as efficient and effective as as if they were working on site. So this is a way that we're constantly thinking about what is our product and how can we sell that to not only multiple audiences, but then once we get an audience, a client, can we sell them the whole package?
Yep. Absolutely. And there's really no substitute for a power-packed webinar, just so you know, to get people online with you. If you can get people online with you the first time and you can dazzle them, that's where you really, you start to build that trust, that connection. That people want to purchase something more from someone that they've already seen and tested and they like, and they see the power of it. So that's part of the whole strategy. So I want to talk to you about this thing that we call value stacks, okay? And we're going to walk through this process because I want you to take your existing zone of genius product and I want you to think about putting that in the center and creating value all the way around that, okay? So not creating all new product lines or something like that, but using what you have and doing something really powerful with it. So let's move forward. So I'm going to give you an example. We're going to walk through an example here, and then I'm going to give you some time in breakouts to dig into this a little deeper. But what I want to start with, we'll start with a signature product. And what I like to say is pick something you love to teach, or pick something that is something you're known for, so that you start with definitely some energy there, okay? So something I love to teach is my Leadership Academy. And in its current form, it's been an open enrollment, 6-part transformational leadership experience, meaning that I get leaders from lots of different companies and they come in, and that's part of it because they get to network, etc. So it's 6 classes. That's how it's been taught in the past. So we'll just use this, the Leadership Academy. If that's something that I really want to teach, I'm going to start there. And then I'm going to ask myself this question. Wait a minute. How do I get my potential audience engaged? How do I build trust and intrigue? Just like we were just talking about. What can I do to sell this class, basically, to get that connection started with my potential clients? That's my question. And then the other question we'll be asking is, and how can I add value and more purchase opportunities so that potentially I could raise the price, and or I could take those people who are already in my class and I could nurture those relationships so that those become, so that I can increase my revenue per customer, okay? So that's what I want to think about. How do I get people engaged and build that trust and intrigue? How do I add value and more purchase opportunities? So both sides of the scale. So to create a value stack, what I'd like you to think about is comparing price point and time and investment, okay? So it's usually the customer's time and investment that we're thinking about, and the price point. And this is kind of general, but basically we're gonna compare, you know, low time and investment to high time and investment, low price point to high price point in general. So down here in the low end, PDF guides, like I was showing you before, a workbook, a guide, a standalone. Sometimes it can be a quiz or something like that. Something fun at the free or very low price point. I like to even think free down here to get people engaged with you. Their time investment is pretty minimal, but they're looking at it, they're having some fun with it, and they're getting to know your style. Then from there, maybe you can lead those folks into a value-based webinar. Now again, I do a lot of webinars for free. I do a lot of 90-minute or even 2-hour webinars for free. But I use a very special kind of format for that webinar that includes some sales. So I want to give tons of value in that webinar because I want people to know me and understand what I can offer. But I do a lot of that for free. Now there's also times when I do those for a pretty low price point, you know, $99 or less or something, and we can do those webinars. And their time investment is there. They need to invest a little bit more time. So those are the low cost free options. So now let's go into the paid options or the premium options. So we're moving up the price point chain, we're moving up the value chain here. And the next thing we might do is a virtual instructor led training or a video program. Okay. Now again, the video programs don't have to be terribly expensive. I'm launching one at this very moment called Building a High Trust Workplace. It's only $249 per person, which is pretty low for what they're going to get out of that. But we're moving up the chain because they also have to invest more time in doing that. And then finally, and again, I'm simplifying this, but finally at the top, we're doing like things like coaching and mentoring programs. So I just told you about the Building a High Trust Workplace course. Right now, they can just get into that course for like $249. But then beyond that, there's actually a coaching program that I do that's a premium price. Right now, I'm giving away that coaching for free because that's part of an overall strategic thing that I could tell you more about if you're interested. But ultimately, that coaching program is usually a very high price point. Okay, so that's how we stack these things. Think about the low price point, low time and investment, and you're nurturing your client basically, okay? You're nurturing your client. So let's talk about this. We're gonna go into that first part, the engagement, trust, intrigue. This is the low cost or free, the orange side of the scale. So when you think about this Leadership Academy there, I'm gonna try to get people invested by offering something like a quiz, say like test your leadership skill in these 5 critical areas. So just FYI, we're not going into the marketing today, but this quiz is something that I have put online, and I've promoted it through LinkedIn, and I've promoted it through Facebook, and even when I was playing around with Instagram, I was doing it there. But I take this quiz and I promote the quiz. And so people want to know what kind of, how's my leadership skill? So they'll go in and they'll take this assessment. And this assessment evaluates them on these 5 different areas. So then once they've taken that quiz, they get onto my blog. Okay, so then I do weekly blogs, or not really my blog, but my email list. Okay, and I also post these things on my blog. So then I might do a post right after that about how developing your leaders can save you thousands of dollars per year. So now you know about your leadership skill. Now let's talk about your development and why it's so important. Then I would maybe publish a case study where I'd say, look at the success that other organizations have had by training their leaders. Here, look at how this organization doubled their revenue by training their leaders, okay? And then finally, I will do a live webinar where I'll say, look, come to me, come and join me on this live free webinar and learn the 3 surprising and easy daily habits that will make you a better leader. And that's gonna take them all the way up to, I'm going to nurture the sale all the way, and that'll take them to the Leadership Academy. Okay. So let's just say you've got your Leadership Academy already. You've already got some people who are interested. You might say to yourself, why would I want to do all this work to get there? And here's my answer. When I started doing things like this value stack, like nurturing the sale, I might get, say, 10 additional people in my Leadership Academy. And if I only got 10 additional people, but they're paying $1,500 each, that adds value to what I'm already doing. I'm now earning $15,000 more for that Leadership Academy, just because I'm adding these things. And let me tell you, I have all these things. The blog comes right out of the content. The case study comes out of last year's Leadership Academy. The webinar comes right out of the content. The quiz comes right out of the content. I've already built that. And so now what I need to do is just step back, take a look and say, what can I take out of this workshop that I can do in small bites that will nurture the sale so that people can get to know me and they can understand what I'm offering and they can start to find success right now, low barrier to entry. That's what I'm talking about right there. Okay, that's the nurturing the sale part of the value stack. Okay, so again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep rolling, but if you have questions, put them in the chat because we'll come back to chat in just a few minutes. Okay. Okay, now imagine we've got our Leadership Academy. We've got our, the 20 people that we knew were going to enroll, but we got 10 extra people in this Leadership Academy this time, which is fantastic because of these things that I've done. Now, the Leadership Academy is now at the bottom, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to add value and we're going to try to promote that Leadership Academy. We might even be able to increase the price a little bit, but we'll see. Okay. So we're going to talk about adding value and creating additional purchase opportunities. It's the top of the value stack. Now, I've done the Leadership Academy. I've got 30 people from different organizations probably not all 30 from all different organizations. Let's say I have 30 people in there. Somebody in that organization, somebody in that thing is going to want that for their workplace specifically. So I'm going to sell it again. I'm going to say, this is available for your organization. Let's bring it to you. Okay, I can do that by video. I can do it by a combined video and coaching program, or I can just bring it in there and just do it virtual live. So I can sell it again. Some of those people are going to want coaching. Somebody in there is going to want some executive coaching package, probably. All right, because they're going to come to my Leadership Academy. We're going to have a great time. We're going to learn a lot. And somebody's going to say, I need a little more here or there. Okay. You can do add-on courses. One of the things I teach in this Leadership Academy is about creating clarity with your team and creating work plans. But you know what? There's more to know about that. Why don't you come on over to my short project management course? It's 4 sessions. It starts on this date, blah, blah, blah. Come on over to my project management course. So I get some portion of folks coming into that as an add-on opportunity. And then finally, and I did this just a couple years ago, my leaders were finishing the Leadership Academy and they're like, we need to keep going. We need to keep going. And so I was like, join me for my mastermind. We'll just have a small group at a premium price and we will dig into your issues. So we got, I think there was 8 of us in the mastermind. We did a mastermind for 6 months and it was a premium price point for that. Okay. So all of this side is the part where you're enhancing the sale. So again, instead of just delivering the Leadership Academy, let me show you the numbers on this. Let's say that after this, I sold one person the Internal Academy. One person said, you know what, bring this to my organization. Let's just say that's about $30,000. There's my $30,000 sale again. I like those. I got 5 coachees out of that at $1,800 each. Those were the 5 executive coaching packages. I sold 1 project management course. That was another $10,000. And I sold 5 slots in my mastermind. And that was, let's say those are $1,000 each for $5,000 bucks. Okay. So that's a lot of add-on revenue from that one Leadership Academy. And so for me, this is a great use of time to stop thinking just about like, okay, I'm going to do my Leadership Academy. Then I'm going to do another Leadership Academy. Then I'm going to do another, you know, what I'm going to do, or, you know, kind of the way I would normally work is I do a Leadership Academy, I do a Customer Service Academy, I do a this academy, you know, so I would do all over the board. And what I'm trying to work on is creating the value on both sides of this product that I already have and love so that I can maximize my revenue per customer and my revenue per product. So that's the value stack. Let's see, can I pause here? What kind of questions or comments do we have?
Somebody wants to know how long your Leadership Academy is. How many, is it hours or how many segments?
Yeah, my Leadership Academy used to be it live. When my Leadership Academy was live, it was actually not 6 parts. It was really about 10 parts. And we'd have a retreat at the beginning of the year. We would go all through the year, half-day training every single month. And then we'd have another retreat at the end of the year. And that was a really cool thing, but it's been harder for me since COVID to get that length of a commitment. So I'm actually building a truncated version right now that will be 6 parts, and it will probably be 6 3-hour virtual classes with once a month with some pod work in between. So that's what I'm building now, because that's what my customers are asking me for. Just FYI, I am constantly talking to my customers, and I'm talking to them about, like, I've got a meeting later this afternoon about this, where one of my clients is looking for her supervisory and leadership training plan for next year. So I'm going to pitch this to her and say, would it be useful for you to combine your organizational leaders with the leaders from other organizations? Do you want something like that? These are the topics I would like to teach. What do you want to teach? You know, what do you want to be taught, etc. So we're constantly in dialogue about that.
Claire, a question came up in the chat from Marla. Where do you get better marketing results, Facebook or LinkedIn?
That's a great question. Okay, so my audience is on LinkedIn. I found. I have a much bigger network on LinkedIn. I'm not a Facebooker. That's part of the problem. I think you're going to get the best results in the place where you are most active and comfortable. I'm most active and comfortable on LinkedIn, and I've tried to do Facebook, and I continue to try because I'm trying to grow my own skill there. But generally speaking, I get better results on LinkedIn, and part of that is because of my business connections.
My friend told me that Facebook starts with F because it's all about fun. And if you're not promoting fun, you shouldn't be on Facebook.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, and we do try to make our training fun. I will say that. Like, I think fun is a really important thing. People remember you if you're fun and entertaining in a sense, but also more than fun and entertaining, people remember you if you're connected. You know, if you really make a bond with people. Okay.
I think also a question came up. Is it better to cater to a specific market segment?
Such as what kind
Nina,
of?
do you want to give a little bit more context for that question?
I mean, in your experience, is it better to focus on a particular market segment, like say corporate, nonprofit, government, colleges, or just some of each, or specialize in one?
You know, Mina, this is a great question. I find I like specializing to some degree. Now, I love to work in agriculture. I just love my ag clients. They're very down to earth. I understand the business. I understand the cyclical nature of the business. It's easy because I've spent a lot of time in ag companies. So since I know ag, I can speak to their problems and their issues. I also spend a lot of time in government and in education. And I do have some nonprofit in my portfolio, but I mean, I kind of like to have a portfolio, but I think it's really important to know that you get to know that industry and you get to know their challenges in a different way if you specialize somewhat. Okay. I have actually found over my 25 years of experience, it's really beneficial for me to have a few different industries, because sometimes one industry will just tank and then you got to go someplace, you got to have your feet in someplace else already, you know, but I don't want to go all over the board. And I think you should also find places where you feel comfortable and it kind of meets with your vibe. Like, I also love manufacturing. We don't have a lot of manufacturing in my area, so I don't do a lot of that right now, but anyway.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay.
Claire, one last question. Your mastermind, is it a year-long mastermind and they just meet monthly? What's the structure of your mastermind?
The mastermind, the last one that I was talking about there was a 6-month mastermind. And for me, that's about right. I'm actually playing around right now with a mastermind concept that would be a year-long engagement. But I just find that it's really hard to get people to commit to a year and to stay focused. So while I believe that transformation takes a lot of time, there's this balance point of what people will commit to and what they're really looking for. And most people, just between us here, most people want fast results. So when they hear me say something like, oh, it's going to take a year. No, they don't want to hear that. They want to hear it's going to take a month, you know? So there's some balance point there. Okay, let's keep rolling. So to build a value stack, and I'm going to give you some time in some small group breakouts to work on this, but I want you to start with that signature product. I think that's really important. There's no need to try to make this up in an area that you're not really familiar with. And that's why if you are a director of a program, it's so cool to partner with your instructors on this. And if you're an instructor, just know that the investment and the time that you invest in strategizing and thinking about this value stack with your director could pay off in spades for your programs that you like to teach, right? So I'd like you to think about selecting that signature product that you know and love. And then, of course, listening for cues. Like, we want to listen to our customers first and foremost, and think about what needs or problems you hear or observe while you're doing the training. What's missing? So that's how I knew, for example, that people wanted the project management course, is because while I'm in class, they're like, oh my God, this is so great. This is what I need to know, but I need more. And then when I hear that, I go, oh, okay, I've got more. You just get you right into that project management class. That's what we need to do. Or as I'm listening, people are saying, oh, this is wonderful. What a great start. I need more on meeting facilitation. Oh, good. I've got a course for that. Pull you over into Be an Amazing Trainer, for example, right? So listening to the needs or problems that you're hearing from them, that's a great place to start. Then, of course, you identify these stacks you could offer. So, for example, and Rayanne's going to talk about this a little bit, but presentation skills might lead to an added class on PowerPoint for presenters, or Present Like TED for keynotes, or some group or individual coaching, or even accent reduction or other things. Then you might send a teaser or a value add PDF or one of those free guides. And just so you know, I don't want you to give somebody the whole stack all at once. Like, we could do this or this or this or this or this. Don't do that. People get overwhelmed with too many choices. Give them one small thing at a time, or maybe the choice between this or that, okay? Don't give people too many choices. If you give them too many choices, their brains get muddled and they go, I can't decide right now. Don't ask me right now. Don't give them too many choices, okay? That's just a kind thing to do. Don't give them too many choices. And then, of course, build on your success. Think about what's worked for other clients. What can be replicated? Where's your biggest success? What do you do best? And really work from that zone of genius. Okay?
Claire,
Okay.
I just have to point out that there were some in the chat earlier, including me, who love that phrase, zone of genius. It's such a great concept.
It is a great concept. I love that. I like to think about that real energy flow that you get from doing what you love. There's no substitute for that when you are connecting with your clients. Okay, so let's do a couple tangible examples. We're gonna get Rayanne and Jonathan to talk a little bit about some of their examples. So Ray, tell us your experience with the presentation skills.
I was asked to deliver a live presentation skills training. And during the training, I really paid attention to this group that they had to all deliver the same product over and over again. It was really boring. The PowerPoints were cluttered. They didn't like what they were delivering, and it came out in their delivery. So we wound up having 3 parts of a sale. One was individual coaching for each of the people involved. 2 was PowerPoint training, how to make your PowerPoint slides more engaging. And 3 was storytelling. How can we add some stories and maybe some images? And I love this because they were doing a welcome, and we wound up taking this really boring slide, and as if we were welcoming you into our home. What would that feel like? What is the emotion connected to that? And it changed the whole flavor of their presentation. It really made a huge difference, and their excitement about delivering the product and how well the product was received.
Nice. And I love this too, that I just want to highlight, Rayanne talked to me about this job aid that she created in this presentation skills class. Once you create that job aid, I want you to use it to create a higher value product next time you teach. So the next time you're teaching a presentation skills class, you will tell them, you'll come away with a step-by-step list, or a step-by-step checklist, or this or that, or this job aid, you know, so that it adds value to what they get in that class.
And thank you, Claire. I got so excited when you said presentation skills. I forgot to mention the job aid, which was a PowerPoint highlighted list of what you should be doing, color schemes, and how much text is on a page. And it was put on their intranet site. And they actually paid me to do that. They asked me for it after a while. You have so many good ideas about how to fix our PowerPoints. So
there you go. There's your opt-in. Right there's your opt-in. Right there is your freebie that you offer out online. Rayanne's going to talk a little bit about that tomorrow, but you take something like that, you offer it
online to people, and they can give you their email address in exchange for this wonderful, you know, free, powerful piece of content that they need. Who doesn't need that? Okay, let's do the next one. Feedback and coaching. That was another one of your classes.
So we were asked to deliver a feedback and coaching live training, but what they wanted was to make sure that they were adding value by measuring pre and post ability of the trainees. So we worked with the training manager to create these pre and post assessments, like what are you doing now? What would you like to be doing better? And now we can use those same forms, which are very specific about what they want to be doing when they're managing performance. And we can use those with other clients as well. We spent a good amount of time getting the wording right and making sure that we could quantify results of the training, because it was a startup company. We wanted to, of course, do this training over and over again, but we had to show value. And this was one way that not only we showed value, but we created another product.
Absolutely. And again, that pre-assessment, what a great little quiz to put out online. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Better business writing.
For that feedback one, if it's the example I'm thinking of, Ray, the client actually really loved that, because it helped them understand the results that their folks got out of the training.
Right.
It made them look good as a training manager. And that's a key when you're selling. That's part of your strategy and marketing. How can I make my client look good? They actually saved the company money. They didn't cost the company by offering this $30,000 training. What they did is they saved rework, scrap, whatever other specifics, retention of the most valuable employees, etc.
Get them to tell you the story of their success, so you can package it up, hand it back to them, and they feel great about the purchase, right? And not only that, I mean, it sounds manipulative, but honestly, these things are energizing for us. We want to know that we're making a difference. And if we're tracking on that, and we can celebrate those stories of success, that's what gets me up in the morning. I love that. So Rhiannon, tell us about Better Business Writing.
And just to add on to that, Claire, Jonathan has asked them for feedback that he can use on his homepage, which is part of the marketing, which we'll talk about later as well.
Perfect.
Better Business Writing, my favorite class to teach. I delivered these short modules online, but using their pre-work. And then during the session, you can actually have a whiteboard or use Google Docs to do before and after. So this particular letter had 550 words or email, and we reduced it to 210 words. That was very specific and action oriented, and the person receiving it knew exactly what to do. And these were, I was told this was the most valuable, that they could actually see what they could delete, their prepositional phrases and adjectives and adverbs and all of the things we talk about in the class. Nice. So if we record it, we could sell them as well, or offer these really short, 30 minutes, 1 hour. And I have used this recently to promote myself to a couple of groups as well. Nice. This is an example. You can see me in action with the writing. Here's a before, here's an after. It's a great marketing tool.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray. Love it. Okay, Jonathan, tell us about your adaptive leadership.
Yeah, so I did an adaptive leadership presentation to a leadership audience about 2 months ago now. And, you know, with their permission, we recorded the session, and I've been going back through and turning that content into a couple of things. One, a short ebook that I'm working on now. I actually have on my desk a coffee stained kind of stack of papers. I printed it out to make final edits. Nice. And so that will be an ebook for lead generation, as well as I'm also looking to marry that with a new idea that's come up in a different training, which is to take some sections of the recorded synchronous presentation, connect that so you get more of a value added product.
Yeah.
And this was all from a free presentation that I delivered. So I have my slides, I have the recording, and then I can turn that into multiple things. So yeah, that's just a short example, but it's really like Nothing gets wasted. Nothing has to be one and done. With all of these examples, you can use them in so many different ways. All of us are sitting on a wealth of content riches.
Yes.
And if we can take the principles that have been discussed in the training so far and make them really built around an MIT, your most important takeaway, and really think about how this is going to serve the client, you can take all these things and build so much. And I get excited about it, but Claire is actually the one leading us. So I'll step back now.
No, it's great. It's great. It can be incredibly energizing when it becomes clear, you know, when it's not too cluttered in your mind. Once you get that clear pathway, and just so you know, you don't have to do everything. Just pick a few things, just one here, one there, one here, one there. And because you don't want to overwhelm yourself or your clients for that matter, but it can be a really nice, easy way of thinking about converting your contact. So a few more bonus ideas. Again, these options can be used as bonuses, so you can charge a higher price, but they can also, in some cases, like we've talked about, be used as your free resources to get people into your sort of your email nurturing sequence or your onboarding funnel, so to speak, okay? So think about your downloadable resources, your workbooks and things that can be turned into job aids, checklists, worksheets, PDF guides, okay? Access to a private group with other participants. A lot of people do this on Facebook. We have one for trainers called the Be an Amazing Trainer Community, where you can get into this private group and we can share our ideas about training. You could do one-on-one or group coaching calls and then record those and get all kinds of gems out of those. Now, coaching is usually, you know, something that people want to have be confidential, but if you record them, you can at least feed those recordings back to the group so that that's an add-on, that's a value add for them that they can listen to it later, and that can help you increase the price a little bit. You could offer direct email access to you, you know, and make that a bonus, not like we don't answer our email, like, but to say, hey, look, as also part of this, you can ask me email questions anytime and I will respond to you within this amount of time. And that's kind of a form of coaching. You can do your monthly live calls or webinars. So one of the things I'm adding to my Leadership Academy is we're only going to meet monthly, but weekly on the weeks that we're not meeting, I'm going to be live on Zoom, and you always can come and join me, and it's like office hours or it's Q&A or something like that. And that helps me stay connected to their needs. So that's important. You could do discounts or deals on other products or services. Like you could say, oh, well, I do this with my Coaching for Excellence class. If you take my Coaching for Excellence class, you get the people that you coach get to take this other course for a discounted rate, this other course called Being Your Best at Work. So those two are companion courses. They go together, and I give a discount on one or the other to sell the package. Of course, you can do a course completion certificate, and in some cases we can do CEUs. That's a real value. So those are all ways that you can just add value into your product. Okay, so now we're going to go into another breakout room, and I want you to think about a value stack. So in your small groups, brainstorm one signature product, okay? If you could get a product, a signature product that several of you deliver something similar, that's great. And I just want you to brainstorm some stacks that you could offer, okay? We're gonna do 4 to 5 people. We're gonna go about 12 minutes. And let me make sure I've got time for 12 minutes. Okay, I think I've got about 12 minutes. We're gonna have to be kind of on it. And I want you to be ready to share. Actually, let's do this. Let's go back to the breakout rooms you were in before, and we're gonna go 10 minutes. So they're a little bit smaller groups, but 10 minutes, 5 people, and then I want you to come back and you could write it on a piece of paper. I want you to show us what's some of your value stack and how does that look, okay? All right, who's gonna be my volunteer? I'd love to hear from at least one group about what kind of a stack you created.
Carolyn, you had some ideas.
Yay. I'm working with leadership, and especially women in leadership is some of the programs that I'm looking at developing. So, just like everybody here, a lot of trainers here, I have a lot of content. And so I could do, for instance, a quiz on what are some of the gaps in leadership that you see in your organization, and maybe as women, what opportunities do you feel like you're not getting, and why is that? So that could be a quiz. I could do a PDF on, what to look for to get promoted as a woman. I mean, there are so many different topics I think that could be, that could be fleshed out. And then I was saying I had done some webinars early in the year about how to work from home. And so when we talk about women in leadership, we're also talking about, and we see that women have reduced their hours, they're having to stay home with the kids. So now it filters into leadership at home, you're working part-time. So there could be some webinars, or I could repurpose my webinars on how to work from home and really focus it in on women in leadership, or women in the household, or whatever's going on. And then from there, develop probably coaching programs, masterminds, create the course, create some kind of training, and then see what kind of blossoms from there. So there's a lot of opportunities, especially now with everybody needs to know about leadership, but they just don't know how to, where to go, how to frame it, what specifically to focus on. So there's a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah, absolutely, Carolyn. And what I'm thinking about is, the particular pain of trying to be in a leadership position at work, and being the person who everyone, and this is true for some men as well, of course, but being the person who people are looking to provide the meals and the stay home, teaching, right, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that's exclusive to women, but if that's your audience, you could speak to that pain point for them for sure. If that's who you're already connected with. Did you talk about the upper side of the value stack, the bonuses and the value adds that could help you increase your price point at all?
The bonuses, like the value adds, like adding to the training sessions.
Yes.
So it could be a coaching perhaps that you attach to that, like maybe maybe it's like a six session training, and then you add the bonus of coaching, or a community, or the email access if someone needs individual help. So
yes.
Definitely a lot of those add-ons that can be put into this program.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, Carolyn. And that's the, the beauty of this is that then when you go to sell your product, and Rand's going to talk a lot about marketing tomorrow, but you go to sell your product and you're writing your course description, you're writing about all these things that people are going to get when they enroll. And not just like, and you'll get access to me, but it'll be like, you'll get access to me so that you can make more progress faster, or, you'll get access to this community so that you can have a bunch of geniuses to ask questions to, et cetera, stuff like that. So you want to always be thinking about, when you're creating that value stack, how to incorporate those things into your course descriptions. Again, something Rand's going to talk about tomorrow. Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. Let's go into this last part here, which is getting you started in this realm. All right. So, and I know a lot of you have already started, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the tools and how you can use a pretty simple setup to build these products that can be used repeatedly. You don't have to have a whole lot. I just want to say that having a good microphone is nice. Making sure that your sound quality is good, that's important. Making sure that your lighting is good. If you're shooting videos, the lighting is really important. I attended this all weekend virtual conference about online business. I was in front of Zoom for like hours in the heat over the weekend. But, but fortunately I met this guy who his whole business is about helping people with the lighting and the cameras and how to look better and be better on video. So I'm going to try to follow up with him and keep learning tips and tricks. But he said in one of these breakout rooms, he said, look, if you have, iPhones and Samsungs and stuff like that have exceptional cameras on them now. And they are literally, if you learn how to use them, almost as good as getting, an SLR 35 millimeter type of camera. And he was showing us the difference in one of these breakout rooms. And it was pretty remarkable how good the quality can be. So you don't necessarily have to go the full route of getting a different camera, but you need to have some good sound and good sound recording. And I said this on one of our earlier webinars, but I'm telling you, I spent $260 on a teleprompter pretty early on, and that is gold. So I would definitely, if you're going to get into doing videos where you're standing in front of the camera, there's some warm-up time with learning how to use the teleprompter without feeling formulaic or robotic. But by all means, it helps me stay on task with what it is that I want to cover in the time that I have. There's other ways to do it. I've done it where I've set up flip charts behind the camera, but then your eyes go off to other places a little bit. So there's pros and cons, but it's just something that I recommend. It's not that big of an investment. When you think about, if you bought everything that's on this screen right now, like the lighting package, the ring light, the microphone, and the teleprompter, but you sold one class for $700, you would make all that up, right? So I want you to just think about making an investment in this next phase, if you can, and if you can't, then bootstrapping it and figuring it out, getting good lighting by using a window, shooting at the right kind of a day, getting someone to hold your phone, and maybe even just a lavalier mic or something that's very inexpensive. So you can do it with a simple setup. I want you to use some of your existing resources. Look at your hot topics. Look at what you're already passionate about. Look at your past courses that you've taught, the workbooks that you've already got developed. Go to your instructors and find the ones who have a knack for this stuff. Find the ones who can speak in front of a camera, who are particularly dynamic, okay? Or who really want to get in this game. Look to your clients who are going to experiment with you like mine did. With me, it was so great. Look to the CE TAP and to other colleges. The TAP has provided this boot camp, and there's other resources that they have available, like their blog and their podcasts, etc. Look to other colleges. If you can partner with other people in this community, how can we share and grow together? Look to affiliate product providers. Many of you use Ed2Go. I'm an affiliate product provider for another consulting agency where they didn't want to build the trust class. So they buy it from me, they get a cut and I get a cut, and we keep moving forward. So there's ways that you can, affiliate and partner with people. And what other resources do you have? Tell me, give me some feedback here. Put this in the chat. What kind of resources do you already have at your fingertips that you could be using? Let's see what we got here. Jonathan, are you going to track on the chat for us?
Yeah, someone was just asking about some of the products that were on the previous slide.
Oh, okay.
And I just put in the chat, we have no affiliate links to those. Some of the things that were on that slide, a Bluebell microphone, which I actually bought. The ring light was on there, which is something that Claire's talked about. And I actually ordered it last week, and it came and I set it up. It's great. It's really easy to use. Yeah. There's some bigger lighting there, which I've also personally bought. And I know, Claire, you have some of that as well. Yep. I think in a previous session, we had posted links to some of these different things, which we can unearth and repost. Maybe in tomorrow's session. The teleprompter I have not personally used, so that's something that maybe Claire could mention.
Yeah, I wasn't able to get that through Amazon, but come to our session tomorrow. We can get the links to these things and post them in the chat tomorrow. Okay, these are all great resources, but I wasn't able to get the teleprompter on Amazon, but I did a Google search for a teleprompter and I found this one. It was, like I said, it was $260. The guy sells it directly from his website. It's a great product, just a great product. I love it. Yeah. Easy to use, lovely. You're gonna need a tablet to go with the teleprompter, but it's, you know, you need a tablet to reflect the words.
Yep.
Okay. So, okay. So resources, I see young people who are, what you're saying, we're not young, but yeah, you look around at find the teenagers in your home. They are usually pretty good at shooting video and editing things and posting things up to Instagram and other stuff. In fact, I had one of my son's friends, literally she did my Instagram post for me. She was my Instagrammer. And then when she moved on to other things, I lost my Instagram person. So I haven't rekindled that yet, but it's good to have our people around who can do stuff. Okay, let's talk about your plan. I want to make sure we get there. I just want to send you back to your breakout room, just a couple of minutes here. And what I want you to think about right now is taking all this stuff we've talked about and grounding it and coming away with something important that you're going to do next. So I want you to think about what online options are most appealing and available to you right now. It's not a good idea to try to do everything. You want to be selective. What's most appealing and available to you right now? What might you do next? Boil it down to something that you're going to explore or something that you're going to try to tackle, okay? Something very specific. And I want you to be prepared to share highlights. I'm going to ask every group and maybe every person, yes, let's just go with that, every person to populate in the chat when we come back about what you're going to do next as a result of what we worked on today. Okay. All right, I want to see that chat going crazy right now. Tell me all about your plans.
I'm gonna put Heather on the spot if she's willing to share. If you want to keep it secret for now, Heather, that's fine. But if you're open to share, then it's a great, you have such a great idea. But if you want to keep it under wraps, that's fine too.
No, I mean, because we're all in different markets, I'm okay with it. So one of the thoughts I had going from a long time ago when I used to do marketing for a chamber, we used to have a member of the month. And I loved it because I would get to call this member up, and it was like they won the lottery, kind of like, you've been selected to be our member of the month. We're going to do this right above you in the newsletter. It's going to be fantastic. So, and it really, I I hate to say it, but it wasn't like, you know, it was like, hey, who do we need to market for this year, like kind of thing. Yeah. And so my idea was to open it up where we would call about 10 to 15, kind of trying to keep it intimate. I'm hoping closer to 10 CEOs from industry that would be like-minded and say, you've been selected to be a part of this roundtable with one of our instructors, trainers who has X number of years in this business, blah, 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 blah. And do a roundtable where they're able to do Q&A and talk about their frustrations. We'd be collecting data at that time of what their needs are, and being able to do a soft sell and actually having them get to know that trainer a little bit better so that they're more likely to say, hey, this is who we want to go to for our training needs.
That's fantastic.
Thanks.
Great idea, Heather. I mean, that's so great in this virtual world because, I mean, I know Rayanne and I used to do these breakfast meetings all the time with our clients, and they were so powerful, just like you're talking about, because you get that direct conversation to happen. And we just want to create opportunities that don't feel salesy. I mean, really and truly, this is a way for you to learn about their needs, their frustrations, their struggles, and then you utilize that language in your follow-up to them for sure. Okay, so it's so great. Thank you for sharing that, Heather. Thanks. I love it.
Thanks.
All right, and let's talk about some of these things happening in the chat. What do we have here? Suzanne's going to take your success customer service training and develop okay, great, Suzanne. Develop a variety of products to build the sale. Thank you. Robin's going into the researching the lighting and the microphone and the equipment. Awesome. Laurel's going to sit down with the team. I love that, Laurel. Great idea. Focus your ideas looking at communication, leadership, supervisory, business writing. Okay, Milton's talking about an idea to develop the supervisor training and coaching. Very good. Love it, love it. Veronica, host an information session to promote the training program. Very good. Dust off a product, Marla. I love it. You guys, this is all fantastic. I really appreciate it. Desiree's going to start her long overdue podcast. Good. God, I think I'm going to do a podcast in my next life because it's a lot of work, but I'm so fascinated by it. So maybe we can talk about that offline. And Carolyn, developing my signature talk around leadership needed in the new normal. Yes, love that. Develop products around women in leadership. You guys, I think you are going to be well on your way. I hope this has helped you to get focused on where you want to head next. I want to just talk about this big path to online business growth, right? I think about it in these different stages, and stage one is about the plan. Like, it's really about thinking strategically and making a systems type plan for your approach. I think that's really, really important. At least I'll tell you that now I wish I had really thought strategically much earlier in the game. Would have saved me a lot of burnout. and I think now that I've experienced such amazing growth and ease in my business because of doing this, I wish I had done this a lot further. But the planning and the thinking strategically is really, really important. Then beyond that, stage two is about leveraging what you already have available. So make the plan and then leveraging it. Look for your instructors, look for content, look for platforms, look for support services. Leverage what you already have available. And in this community, we have a lot of great stuff. So I hope you'll stay connected. Building, then build it. Build or find the product. If you don't have it, again, affiliate partnerships are sometimes really nice to develop so that you don't have to do everything. You don't have to be everything to everyone. Remember our Jenga tower, that can really get tenuous if you try to do it all yourself without partnering. And then pilot things and capture testimonials and lessons learned. If you don't make, big bucks the first time you do it, don't worry about that. Get into the game and work with those clients and capture their stories and their successes and promote those. And that's really important. Once you build and pilot, of course you're selling all the while, but once you have something that you're really confident in, that's where you really focus in on the marketing. And that's where Rayanne's going to focus tomorrow. Market to that audience, and don't be afraid to try to secure sponsors or project contracts to get your foot in the door and to really make that first notable sale. And then finally, scale it. Sell it again, grow your business, and spend a lot more time enjoying your life, right? That's what I always keep thinking about. My why is about doing something powerful and impactful, but also something that is manageable so that I can make a difference in the world, and enjoy my family and, do the other things that I want to do. If you're like me, you've spent a lot of time, maybe in phases or whatever, but there's been seasons of your life where you've done way too much and you've been spread way too thin. And for me, this opportunity to build an online business has been extraordinary. I know COVID has a lot of downsides, but I'm seeing a lot of upside as well in terms of the opportunity that we have available to us and the way that we can work together to make this happen. This is a great opportunity for us, I think, in the long run. We may look back and think, well, I'm planning to look back and think that was the turning point for me. And it's starting to take hold. So the things that I've been working toward and working on for the last 5 years in terms of this online world are really starting to take hold. And I can't say enough about that because it really makes a difference. This is what I want to be doing at some point, maybe this time next year. But the idea, again, is to make it easy, make it manageable, and make it profitable. So the bottom line is that this is an opportunity to serve your existing clients in new ways that will last. And in fact, just so you know, can be even more effective for learners because they have access to recorded products when they want them and when their brains are open and available, and that's important. and this world can be exceptionally profitable for you. So that's what we've got for you today. In closing, I'm just wanting to pause and say, what questions or advice do you have, and what's one thing that you learned today that's really going to make your life better, that's going to enhance your business?
So this is Susie. So just, recapping everything that you shared with us today, which was so much to absorb and just wonderful information. So thank you so much. Really, like you had mentioned, we have all this content, we have all this, information that we've already been teaching, and it's just to utilize it and maybe chop it up, do some mini clips, market it in that way. Follow up, create a PDF from a lesson that we knew they absorbed and loved, cut something short. What are your top threes, whatever, like those are the things
Yes.
I've really been, grasping and holding on to, because I think that we have it already. It's just how do we maximize the use of what we've already created? So work smarter, not harder, right? So I appreciate all your insight and all your information today. It's been very helpful.
You bet, Susie. Thank you. Thanks for saying that. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
I was even thinking, how that on Facebook you always have the do it yourself, the 5-minute videos of how to do something better. I think if we could create a mini segment just telling training directors how they can take content they already have and we can help them parse it. So we wouldn't even have to create anything, but we could break it down for the remote learners. That could be a great service we could offer. There's so much talent here too. We can learn from each other, that I hope that we will use these resources and these connections we've made today to really make a difference in our products.
Good. Thank you. Good. Okay. Very good. I see lots of going on in the chat over here. Thank you, everybody, for your feedback. I love it. I love hearing that you're going to put this to work. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for our marketing segment. Rayanne's the master marketer, and she's got some really great information for you. We're going to take this and we're going to even push it even further. So, and do other things as well. So it's all great stuff, and we're happy to have you on board with us. Okay, if there's no other comments or questions, I want to be on time and really value your time here. We're just a couple minutes over, but thank you for being here. Thanks for being in the game with us, and look for our follow-up. We'll send you those links, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks for being with us today.